Carl Jung spent his life studying what most people overlook, the architecture of the inner world of the psyche. He believed that behind every personality lies a deeper psychic blueprint, a unique configuration of perception, energy, and purpose. He called it the individual psyche, and he spent decades mapping its structure through typology, the unconscious, archetypes, and the process of individuation. Some of these blueprints are common, adapted to society, shaped for survival. But a few are rare and profoundly different. These rare individuals carry a very special gift. They are attuned to hidden layers of reality. They live with one foot in the symbolic world and the other in daily life. They pick up on moods before words are spoken. They feel before others even register sensation. They hold paradox. And they're often both confused and confusing to the world around them, because no one ever taught them that their way of being is not a flaw, but a mirror of something ancient, intricate, and precise. Jung once wrote that the greatest burden a child can bear is the unlived life of the parent. But for some, the burden is even older. The unspoken vision of the collective psyche, passed down through silence, waiting to be seen through a rare kind of mind. These are the souls we'll speak about today. Let's walk through the signs of these rare psychological blueprints, and by the end, you may discover whether you were born to carry one of them. Let's begin. Sign 1. You sense what's missing, not just what's there. You often notice what's unspoken before you notice what's said. You walk into a room and feel the tension before anyone moves. You read between lines instinctively. And when something feels off, you may not know why, but you know. Others might say you're too sensitive, too suspicious, too overthinking. But it's not paranoia. It's perception. You're not drawn to surfaces. You're drawn to what's underneath them. This isn't a learned skill. It's a way of being. A nervous system attuned not just to sound, but to silence. Not just to facts, but to patterns. Not just to reality, but to the deeper structure behind it. Sign 2. You live through meaning. More than through motion. You're capable, often competent, but your energy doesn't come from doing. It comes from knowing why. If something lacks meaning, you can barely move toward it. If something contains truth, you can feel it in your body. You're motivated by inner alignment, not outer validation. You may work hard, even excel, but underneath it all, you're always asking, is this real for me? This means you may appear slow to start, hesitant, or even lost, when in fact, you're orienting to an invisible compass. And until it points somewhere true, you'd rather stay still than walk in the wrong direction. Sign 3. You experience a constant inner dialogue that no one sees. Inside you, there's a continuous current of reflection, analyzing, imagining, remembering, projecting. It doesn't stop when the world goes quiet. It deepens. You may spend hours with a single thought, a single sentence, a single emotional contradiction. You're not being dramatic. You're metabolizing life. And because the outside doesn't see this inner world, you're often misread. You may appear detached when you're actually overwhelmed, cold when you're protecting something tender, or calm when your mind is spiraling in complexity others can't follow. This doesn't mean you're unstable. It means your consciousness is layered. Sign 4. You're drawn to the invisible threads that shape reality. You think in constellations. You feel truth through metaphor. You have a way of sensing not just what is happening, but why it might be happening. You've likely been told you read too much into things. But the truth is, most people read too little. You don't see a coincidence. You see timing. You don't just remember dreams, you wonder what they're trying to show you. You don't just observe people, you sense what they're hiding from themselves. You live with one eye turned inward and one on the horizon. This is not detachment. This is symbolic vision, and it's rare. Sign 5. You carry a deep sadness that has no name. Sometimes it feels like your loneliness is older than your life, like you're grieving something you can't remember losing. You've likely felt this since childhood, a quiet ache that doesn't go away with distraction. It deepens when things are too loud. It sharpens when others are too shallow. This grief is not a flaw. It's a form of memory. The kind that comes not from biography, but from psyche. Jung believed that some individuals carry what he called the collective unconscious more consciously than others, sensing ancestral wounds, unspoken generational burdens, and the spiritual fatigue of a world that has forgotten its soul. You feel it not because you're broken. You feel it because you're open. Sign 6. You've struggled to find a path that fits you fully. You've likely tried on many roles, many ideas, many frameworks. But no matter how far you go in one direction, something inside you resists settling. You might envy people who seem content with clear plans or traditional paths. But for you, the blueprint has to emerge from within. You don't follow maps, you create them. This often makes your journey longer and lonelier. But it also ensures that when you do find something that fits, it's because it was yours from the beginning. You don't want to win a life that isn't yours. You want to build a life that reflects the architecture of your soul. Sign 7. You've always had a quiet sense that you were different. Long before you learned any of this, you knew. You knew that something about your mind worked differently, that you felt things more deeply, that you asked questions other people seemed to avoid, that you were both curious and tired, alert and ancient. You may have hidden this, tried to normalize it, even convinced yourself that you were imagining it. But it never went away, and it wasn't imagination. It was memory, inner recognition. The psyche knows what it is before you learn how to name it. And if that recognition is stirring again now, it's not by accident. It's because something inside you has been waiting for this moment of confirmation. If these signs felt familiar, you're not simply emotional, or intelligent, or strange. You're rare, psychologically, symbolically, and spiritually. You carry a constellation that only a small percentage of people ever experience. A way of seeing the world that isn't based on facts alone, but on energy, on patterns, on depth. A way of feeling truth not when it's spoken, but when it vibrates silently between things. Your inner life is not a side effect. It is the source. And what others call too much has always been your mirror of what's most real. Carl Jung spent his life trying to understand minds like yours. He knew that some people live closer to the unconscious, that some souls arrive already listening, to dreams, to symbols, to the hidden rhythm beneath events. He called them intuitive, visionary, deeply inward, and he knew how hard the world can be for them, because the world is often not built to receive what you're here to carry. But that doesn't make it any less real, and it doesn't make you any less needed. The signs we've just explored describe what Jung would now call deep intuitive souls, those who lead with quiet vision, profound inward feeling, or a sense of meaning that refuses to be silenced. In modern language, they often correspond to the rarest MBTI types: INFJ, INTJ, INFP, INTP, and some expressions of ENFP. But this isn't about types, or labels, or categories. It's about recognition. It's about the quiet moment when something inside you finally says, yes, that's me. If this video helped you feel recognized, or less alone in your perception of the world, subscribe. Return when you need to feel seen again. And pass it on to the ones who walk quietly, feel deeply, and carry more than they've ever put into words. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Take care.